We're live. Prestige Worldwide.
All right, so here it. Boom. Now I got to get the mute. All right, so here it. Boom. Now I got to get the. All right, and go back to
Perfect.
This.
Yeah.
There we go.
Make sure you get that doll in the back and those old movie posters.
There we go. What's up, everybody? Facebook Nation. We got Sales Hustler Spotlight right now with my friend Nathan Hayes. Nathan, why don't you say hi to everybody?
Hey guys, what's up from Jeff City, Missouri, the capital? Don't you forget it.
What we're going to do before we get started here, Nathan, is I want to tell everybody, if you can, QuickPage is giving every single person in here right now that watches this to hit share. They're going to give you a free month, guys. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than free, man. Free month. Try out their stuff. See if you like it. I guarantee you will. Go ahead and hit share right now. Chad's going to hook you up. How this is going to go today. We're going to have a great spotlight on Nathan Hayes. He's from Jefferson City, Missouri. Okay. And we're going to learn about him today. And at the end, guys, if you can, put comments in, questions. And at the end, we'll have like a 10-minute where we'll ask Nathan your questions. All right. So go ahead and write them in there in the comments. Nathan, I kind of want to get started here learning you out a little bit, man. Where are you from? Tell everybody where you're from.
I was born and raised, or am born and raised, in Jefferson City, Missouri. For those of you who don't know, that's the capital of Missouri. Some people don't realize that. So, 32 years old, got a family cat, black cat named Roxy, and daughter who's going to be 3 next month. And my oldest daughter is 11, and been married since 2013. So, 4 years, and got into the car business in 2011 and never ever looked back.
Okay, so you've been in it since 2011. Let me go back just a second. You were born and raised where you're living now. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And what about your family? Tell me a little bit about your family when you're growing up.
So my grandpa was in the car business in the 50s and 60s. He had, I think, 5 or 6 Ford stores. They were one of the top groups in the country, which sounds crazy. They were selling 300 cars a month back in the 60s and 70s. So to put that into perspective, obviously there wasn't as many car dealerships. There wasn't the internet. There wasn't keyless entry. I joke, how did you find all the cars in the lot? Because you couldn't honk the horns and everything else. So that was when cars didn't have rear bumpers. So the first branding that they did was they literally welded or soldered their last name, Schonsmeyer. If you ever Google Schonsmeyer Ford, it'll pop up for Missouri. They literally welded Schonsmeyer on the backs of bumpers and put them on the backs of Fords, or you could buy a car in essence without a rear bumper. So every once in a while in town, I'll see a car at a farm or something broke down or old in the barn that has their name on it. And he has little placards. My mom, for my 30th birthday, found a whole bunch of their old matchbooks and then some of their advertising lingo, newspaper article stuff, and then some badges and different stuff like that. So, I'm from here. My wife's from here. Asked my wife out in high school. She told me no. Asked her out in college. She told me yes. So that's kind of a interesting story. And then, we got married and I adopted my oldest daughter. And then we had a child in 2000, I guess it'd be 14.
All right. So I'm going to go back there. Wait a minute. Your wife said no to you in high school.
Yep.
Convinced her in college. What changed? Did you ever ask her like, hey man, what changed?
I just think it's different. You're in high school and you're nervous and, hormones and whatever else, and you don't know who you want to be with or don't want to be with or what your friends say. Or it's like when you buy a car and you post online like, hey, should I buy a GMC Acadia? Or I really want to buy a GMC Acadia. And everyone's like, no, don't buy a GMC Acadia. Buy a Jeep Cherokee or a Chevy Malibu, something that doesn't make any sense at all. So you're like worried about what your friends are going to think about you. Same thing. I correlate that when I talk to my customers about dating. Like you're like worried about who you dated in high school or college or what your friends are going to think, when in reality, it matters what you think and how you feel and if you're happy. And, you want your friends' advice, but you also have your mindset on something, so you go for it. And that's kind of how this and asked her out for coffee. She said she didn't drink coffee, so we went out for hot chocolate. So it worked.
Well, that was your first sale, right? She said, "No,
There
go on, man.
was some sales. There was some sales before then, but yeah, that was one of my best, one of my most favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you've something kind of struck me as interesting there when you said your grandpa, they used to solder it into the
Yeah.
bone. Okay.
Yeah.
Was your grandfather alive when you were alive?
Yeah, he's still alive. He's 89 years old. My grandma's 85. They celebrate their 65th wedding anniversary next month. So we're renting out a party hall thing, and almost all my family lives pretty much in Missouri now. A couple of people moved away, and then now they moved back from Florida. I had aunts and uncles live in Florida. They moved back 8 months ago before all the tropical storm stuff happened, but they finalized it all like a month ago whenever everything was going down crazy. So it was kind of a sad time for them because they're friends, and then in Naples versus Goodland and different stuff like that with the hurricane stuff going on. So yeah, I'm very blessed that all of my family lives in Missouri now, and we're a pretty tight knit group. There's no drama, anything like that. So we all got lots of hardworking people and bankers and lawyers and real estate agents and realtors, and I probably already said that, but no mechanic. My grandma told me I could be a mechanic or an airline pilot, and I'm neither of those. So
Well, I'm sure your grandpa could tell you all kinds of great stories about the 50s and 60s.
oh yeah. Yep.
Was he the dealer? Did he own all
Yeah.
five?
Yeah, it was him. His two brothers, one was in the Navy, one was in the Army, and then one was in the Air Force. So he was in the Army, and then his dad. And then they bought the store from their dad, I think in the 50s when he came back from Korea, the Korean War. And then he operated it. He says he operated it for 13 years, never took a day off. They had to put newspapers up on their windows in their house on Sundays so people would leave them alone. And then that led them to buying a house at the Lake of the Ozarks. That way no one would bother them, and people would try to get their car serviced or whatever on Sundays, and he just wanted to get it out of town with their kids and with my grandma. So it's kind of really interesting just to see people kind of quote unquote begging to buy cars from them even on Sundays when they were closed. And nowadays people go to lots on Sundays because they don't want to be bothered. At least in Missouri, you can't sell cars on Sundays. So
kind of reverse.
That's when people go and they don't want to be bothered. So it's pretty crazy. And it helps with my reputation because a lot of people that are in their maybe 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, they have kind of heard of my grandpa or know of my grandpa. And he had a really good reputation compared to the previous generations of Ford dealers in our area. So I think that helped a lot.
All right. So,
pretty cool.
How old are you, man?
32 years old.
All right. So you're 32. You go to high school. You get out of high school. You go to college, man.
So I graduated from high school. I had a engineering, mathematics, and science scholarship to go to what was then at the time Southwest Missouri State University. I got onto their computer animation program, and they would still honor my scholarship. I moved down a week early for college algebra, and the department had left. So they dissolved the program. So I started school. I didn't have a degree program, so I switched to computer science. I thought that was boring. I can't sit at a desk all day. So I decided to get into recreation and leisure studies. Back at home, I worked for the city off and on for 10 years, high school and college. So I was familiar with running a concession stand, umpiring baseball games, scheduling ice time, sharpening skates, planning events, swim lessons, whatever else. So I worked for municipality for the city for 10 years, and then kind of stumbled into the car business in 2011. So that's, I got asked to be in the car business, and I kind of jokingly said, well, I have a college degree. Haha, that's not what I plan to do to get into the car business. And then here I am almost 7 years later. And like I said earlier, never look back.
All right. So how do you make the transition from municipality work to car biz? You said somebody asked you, but
So I worked for the university at the time in Missouri State University now, and I worked for the Alumni Association, and they changed the name of the university. So my job was to help with a team. I was on a team, and then I led a team for 3 semesters to raise money for the university to build what's now, they have a nice recreational facility there that I never got to experience. I just helped fundraise money for it. So that was my sales experience. They told us you had to at least before you got off the phone, you had to hear no 3 times, which this day and age, I just seems really, I mean, it's the same. My grandpa still says, people are either buying or dying. It's the same, thing. And I've thought of that, as I've went through my life, I just thought of all that stuff. So yeah, that was my sales experience when I applied for my job or interviewed. They were like, "Are you afraid of rejection?" And I just kind of made like a joke about my dating life, and that was funny enough. And then, they hired me 2 weeks later, whatever else. So that was how part of that came about. I didn't really have much sales experience other than that. People always said, "Oh, you can talk to people or like to talk to people. You should be in sales." Or I was a stock boy during Christmas, American Eagle, just to have a job, and they tried to get me to work the floor and be in sales, and I was like, "Oh, no, no, no." And my old boss who bought a car for me now, we still laugh about it every time I see her in service, because she's like, "Man, you're just so good at this that you could have killed at American Eagle," which, I mean, it was non-commissioned at American Eagle. I don't even think American Eagle is maybe in business anymore, but just kind of an interesting dynamic that people see things in you that you don't necessarily see things in yourself. And if you don't take their advice, you may be in, I could be a, clerk somewhere working at Lowe's or construction or, who knows what else.
So that was a very interesting point you just said. And I agree with you 100% that it's interesting when other people see that in you. Did you ever see it in yourself before you got into it?
I mean, I've always been told like I'm charming and charismatic, and you could talk people into doing this, or you're a good negotiator. My mom always told me growing up that I should be a lawyer or attorney because I wouldn't take no for an answer, or I would like use people against each other to get my way, as far as like mom said I could do this or dad said I could do this, or like all the little tendencies that you do as a child. And a lot of times I guess I just wouldn't take no for an answer. Not that I was a troublemaker, or I think I've never went to the principal's office. But it was just like little things that I could do or say to get out of things. And my mom just thought I could argue with anyone and either wear them out or win. And I don't know if that's, converted over to the car business or not, but it seems like that does sometimes, how sometimes that is on the lot, for example.
I always say that life is sales. Life.
Oh, yeah.
Every single thing you do in life, every business, every conversation, every transaction, every dating life, everything is a sale. And if you're good at it, okay, you're probably going to be good in sales too. So
one of my customers said, "If I buy a car from you, you have to speak to our business students in ninth grade." And so I was thinking, what am I going to, tell these ninth graders? This was 3 years ago. And my opening statement, my PowerPoint presentation, whatever else, my opening statement was, "Raise your hand if you know anyone that's in sales." And like 3 people raised their hand, one person raised their hand, whatever. Everyone's laughing and carrying on, blah, blah, blah. I said, "Well, a couple of you guys have it right, but everyone should raise their hand." And then everyone kind of stopped and was like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, everyone's in sales. You're going to try to convince your parents to let you go to see whatever new movie's out, American Pie or whatever it was that they don't want you to go see, or you're going to try to get them to let them borrow your car keys or, whatever else." And so everyone is selling something. I read something, the world doesn't move until someone sells something or whatever it is. So yeah, I wholeheartedly agree, and never would have thought of, 10 years ago, probably 10 years ago, I would have never thought that I would be in the position that I'm in, or would have, thought that much about sales. Just so many people wake up, go to their job, collect a paycheck, go to the same grocery store, drive the same car, go to the same gas station, wear the same clothes. There's just no dynamic of being in a commission-based role, or the excitement about, maybe, I wouldn't say changing someone's mind, but in being able, like educational selling, people talk about, being able to educate someone and then maybe getting them on your side or closing them, and then, exchanging financial, monetary, things, different stuff like that as far as that. And I just think that's exciting. And I think just so many people don't get to experience that, except for asking someone out or getting a good deal on, a clearance item. No one goes to Lowe's and negotiates. No one goes to Best Buy and negotiates. Little things that they don't teach it at school. And so I think a lot of people are afraid of salesmanship, and that hurts me. It hurts you probably. It helps me. It helps you, et cetera, et cetera. So,
well, the first time actually I saw you, now you got to remember 7 months ago, Okay, I wasn't on Facebook at all.
Yeah, I know. I was laughing about that this morning.
All right, so I saw you before I even got on Facebook because I saw you on YouTube because I'm filling my mind with all kinds of salesy kind of stuff and getting better. And I saw you on Dealer Playbook with Cirillo.
Yeah, yeah,
All about, man.
yeah.
And by the way, if anybody doesn't know what Dealer Playbook is,
Yeah.
you guys take the time, get on YouTube and check it out. Cirillo has
awesome
a podcast on there, man, and he's basically interviewed all the great people in the industry. But tell me how that came about.
So when they announced that they were kind of to rewind and piggyback on what you said, I made a decision about 4 years ago, that like I could see there were trends happening in the car business to where traffic was slowing. Phone ups became the hot leads instead of internet leads. So people used to call in on an Elantra, a 2011 Elantra. Hey, do you have a gray one? No, we have a black one. Okay, I'll take it. You know, that was the Hyundai Elantra market for 13 months. People couldn't keep them in stock. Dealers in our market were charging over MSRP for Elantras. Now you can't, I mean, you get to almost give a car away depending on the customer or whatever else. So I noticed there was a trend changing. So I was like, oh, YouTube's pretty popular. I watched Google has ZMOT Retail, Zero Moment of Truth. I watched that and kind of read that book, and I stumbled across Nate DeAllen, who's the singing salesperson. We have the same name, and he worked at a Honda store. He was really dynamic and intricate. Nate, if you're watching this out there, what's up? Then I stumbled upon Elise Kephart, and then I stumbled upon Robert Wiseman, and I stumbled upon Michael Cirillo, and Mike Davenport, all these people that just, they had YouTube channels, or like I looked them up and I was like, these guys are better than me, or act like they're better than me. So they've got to be doing something right. And then Fran Taylor started the 30 Sales a Month group, which some people like, some people don't like, but all these little things where, I wouldn't say 80-20 rule, but there's probably a lot of really great people in that group. Just like Jim Ziegler has a group, just like Sales Hustlers has a group, all these people that have all these groups, and you get grouped out, or there's way too many groups, but there's always someone you can meet. Shawn, trying to think, Bill Have, some of those other guys, Ryan Smith. I watched his episode this morning. Billy Sherm, I'd never heard his name before. About a month ago, just stumbled across him, and then he was going to be on here, so I was like, oh, that should be cool. So I watched his thing last week, and then I watched a little bit of it today. And so just all those things that brought me to – so I asked to be on Dealer Playbook, and they told me, hey, we're booked up, and, we don't know, come up with an idea of what you would have to be on the show. And so I gave them a few ideas, and, I knew they were booked. I mean, they were booking Grant Cardone and Tracy Myers and some really cool car-esque owners, operators, whatever. I'm not in their league by any means. And so then I think on the season, I think I'm episode 20. I joke to say 23, but I don't think I'm episode 23. I'm episode 90 or something. So I was on season 3 or 4 or whatever. And before then I was on the Be Less Typical podcast with the Courtney and Patrick Hennessy, and they wanted to have me on right away. So I was like, oh, these people want to listen to my message. So that was great with Kenny Landrum and some of those people. So then I came back to him and I said, hey, I saw that you're casting people for next season. Now I've got, 2 years of experience under my belt. I'm not just some jabroni, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, we'd like to have you on the show. What do you want to talk about? And 2 weeks in advance, probably before then, they had Gary Vaynerchuk on the show. So it's cool to say, like, I was on a show that Gary Vaynerchuk's been on too. And he talked about if he were getting into the car business, he would try to become the mayor of his town. And so that's how the mayor of Carville evolved. Michael Cirillo and I joked about it. My friends joked about it because they hate going places with me. Hy-Vee, Starbucks, the movies, the mall, whatever, because people will stop and stare or talk to me or like think that I'm super cool and I'm not. I'm just a normal. I'll talk to anyone and everyone, whether you got sweats on or a suit on or whatever else. So they allowed me to be on the show. I talked about networking and becoming kind of a local celebrity. I don't really pimp that title out as far as being a local celebrity, but there are people that I go places and they introduce me to other people. It makes me blush. I to this day, I need to talk to someone who's like legitimately famous because I don't really know what to say when they're like, oh yeah, Nathan Hayes, he's a local celebrity. And it's just like, I'm really just a normal guy, selling cars, getting involved with my community, trying to change, Boy Scout motto, leave a campsite better than it was when you arrived or whatever else. So that's my goal. Is so many people out there wake up, go to work, don't do anything, don't volunteer, pay their bills, pay their taxes, don't care what their credit score is, don't care about, making themselves better, giving their kids subpar education, et cetera, et cetera. I just think that there's more to life than that. And so that's kind of been my mantra as far as, dreaming and doing I'm not to the point in my life right now where I think like anything you set your mind to, you can do, just because I think there's just so many financial hurdles. But if anyone's out there and wants to give me millions of dollars, then that would be my dream come true, I guess, probably.
I find that interesting that you basically took the initiative and just called and said, I want to be on that, because, I was like thinking the other day, how do you get on those shows? I
just asked.
They'd call you or something. So you just picked up the phone and called them. I like that, man. That's awesome. All right.
I have people that are like, hey, we're having a local award show here in town. Will you nominate me? And I was like, that seems kind of weird. But at the same time, like, if they didn't ask, they wouldn't know. So I nominated. I'm on the chamber board of directors in my hometown. I'm the youngest person on the chamber board. And like someone older than me that I consider a mentor, he asked if I would nominate him. And I would, like, always in my mind, he would be someone I would nominate, but I wasn't specifically going to nominate just him. And so I was like, man, this guy thinks that I've got the pull, to do that. So I did, it all worked out, but it was just interesting to be young and appreciated and looked up to. And I think a lot of that has to do with social media, networking, referrals, presence, captivology, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, listening to you, this is a different aspect that we've had on this show so far. And I like that. Okay. Because so far, a lot of it's either been social networking and things like this. It sounds like you have taken, which makes sense, the mayor of Carville. You've literally basically said, I'm going to blanket my community. I'm going to be on boards. Yeah. I'm going to be on heads of commissions. I'm going to be whatever I can be, so everybody knows me and knows what I do. And that's how you basically do your business. Is that correct? Is most business?
Yeah. So that started. I started with the Corwin organization in North Dakota. They were in Jeff City, so they bought the Honda store and the Hyundai store in October 2010. I started January 2011, and I joined the chamber. I didn't have a job. I applied for all these jobs with Parks and Rec in Columbia, St. Louis, Kansas City, Springfield, wherever, places I'd worked before and had 10 years, good resume, good references, whatever, and no one hired me. The economy had crashed or kind of was recovering. So I got into the car business on accident. So Keith Reese, if you're watching out there, he's one of my buddies. He hired me back in 2011. And I just knew because I got the job through the chamber, because I joined Young Professionals, I literally stood up in front of people and said, I have college degrees, I'm unemployed. Everyone laughed. They thought it was funny in a room with 200 people. And people are like, oh man, you're cool, or how come you don't have a job, or that stinks, or it's hard out there, whatever. And Keith and another guy, Vic Sura, Vic, you're watching this, came up to me and it's like, man, if you got enough balls to say that you're unemployed and laugh about it, you should sell cars. And I was like, oh, ha, 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 that's not what I went to college for, et cetera, et cetera. So I knew at that point, when the chamber, in essence, allowed me to get my job, that I had to, give that same opportunity to someone else, or to tell this story. Everyone's got a unique story. I listened to Bill Hav's episode. He went through a lot of hardships. I wouldn't say that I probably haven't seen half the things that he has as far as hardships and stuff. Everyone has a different story. And if you can use your story to change the lives of people, whether that's a customer or motivate your friends or motivate your family, or, become mentors or get to be on shows like this, Dealer Playbook, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's my job. My goal is just to give back and give people, you can listen to some of these things and you think, oh, these people really didn't say anything. And so my goal is just to give people kind of a blueprint on what they should, after you log off this and listen to me rant for another 35 minutes or whatever. I want people to be able to take stuff away that if you're consistent and you do the things that you're doing, like I knew when I got that job, I had to somehow take over my market. So I was 26, single, no house. We had a family farm. I was living at my mom's house. She was living at her family farm. No bills, nothing. So I knew I had to be able to build up into a budget, and then I had to sell so many cars to make money, save money, buy a house, save money, get a car, get a new car, get a wedding ring, whatever else, support my family. And then we had at the time 2 brands. So what would happen is, and still happens, I'm the only guy at my store. I wear all 4 stores on my name tag, but people would come in and they'd go to another store, and we had some snakes at the stores at the time, and they'd be like, oh, that guy's new, or we don't know who he is or whatever. Then they'd sell a car. Then I'd be out in public and people would be like, hey, I sent my sister Jamie in there. They said you didn't work there or whatever. So I was like, man, this is some BS. So I just made it my constant goal to, whether you want to buy a car or not from me, that Nathan Hayes is the guy that sells cars on Facebook. Whether you're in Columbia, 20 minutes away, whether you're in Holt Summit, 10 minutes away, whether you're in Taos, Wardsville, Ashland, Boonville, probably a little bit too far away, like the Ozarks. I'm not going to buy billboards everywhere. I'm just going to have a strong top of the mind awareness presence. And most people that know me will know that I can sell any car off any of our lots. So we have 1,000 cars. So if I can just keep spreading that message, be on shows like this and tell people that I maybe have customers that will watch this, or I'll do my own videos. And I just remind people, whatever store you go to, ask for Nate. If you send an internet lead, ask for Nate. If you call on the phone, ask for Nate. If you're in service, ask for Nate. That way, no matter where they're at, I'll get a call. Hey, you got Bill and Kathy Smith down here looking for you. What are you doing? And I'll say, oh, I'm just finishing up down at the Hyundai store. I'll come down to the Honda store, check it out. I just think that's really, really important, because you need to be able to be searchable. You need to be available, and then you need to know people that you're knowledgeable and you're professional. That's kind of what I usually touch on. So if you Google yourself, what comes up? Is it good stuff? Is it bad stuff? Is it that you voted for Donald Trump? Is it you hate Hillary Clinton? Is it vice versa? Whatever. Like, that's all the stuff that I kind of try to I have my own opinions, and I am I'm Catholic, et cetera, but I don't beat the Bible on Facebook, because people don't want to. I don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear me selling people cars or telling them that there's 0% interest or whatever. Like, people just want to see me. They support me if I'm successful. They cry with me if I'm down. They try to raise me up if I'm happy, et cetera, et cetera. And there's just so many people that just have their own agenda on social media that it's just like, you unfollow people, or I don't really unfriend people unless they're crazy or they threaten me or something. But there's just so many weird people. Like, the car business as a whole, would be so much more amazing if people weren't complete idiots on social media, for example, because you're being searched. If I Google St. Augustine Hyundai and Shawn Hayes pops up, I'm going to see a whole bunch of good reviews for him. If I Google Nathan Hayes, I'm going to see 194 5-star reviews, and then there's 2 full dealerships in town that don't even have that many reviews. So either he's paying someone, or he's lying, or he's just really that good. And so then I just get random people that call the store or stumble in, or the guys I work with feel like they're my greeter, because they're just come down with their head down. They're like, hey, you got some people out here to see you. I have no idea who they are, but I put a smile on. I go out there and shake their hand and ask them, where they heard about me or whatever. And it's, my brother's sister's cousin dog bought a car from you, and so we're here to look at a, Honda Accord or, whatever. So I think
that's super important, Nate. I cannot stress enough how referrals are probably the most important thing in our business. And unfortunately, us as salesmen, not you, but a lot of us in salesmen, we don't ask enough, man. We don't blanket the market. And I tell you what, it's probably the biggest weakness in my game that I'm trying to improve, is asking for the referrals. Okay, I just expect it because I gave the people such good service. But the problem is people might say, go see Shawn, okay, but they don't follow it up, or the person comes in and doesn't ask for me, or they come in and I'm with somebody and I don't know. But we really need to do a better job. And I think this is great to have you on here today. And listen, that's your whole base of your business, man.
Right.
And that's
it's a lot of it's top of the mind awareness, and then referrals. People know that they'll typically get paid out the referrals. We do $100 at our store. People have said, oh, do 200 or 250 or whatever. We do $100. I give away Cardinal baseball tickets. People that don't even buy cars I'm giving away Katy Perry tickets for this weekend. I got to come up with a contest for that. Just last minute things. I could spend $6. The Cardinals are not playing anymore, I guess, but I could spend $12 giving away St. Louis Cardinal tickets. You got to pay for a hotel, maybe. You got to drive up there. You got to pay $9 for beers, whatever. And people will go crazy for 600 comments on a Facebook post. And all it is just so Jimmy comment on Nathan Hayes' post, Susie comment on Nathan Hayes' post, just all those little things. And you have to ask them to like it. You have to ask them to share it. You have to ask them to leave a review. You have to ask people for a referral. 3 years ago, Bill Stout and I talk about this all the time. I didn't really ask people for referrals, or when I'd fill out the reference sheets for the banks, I'd try to like track that. And then I was just like, it was just 4 names from every single person, and it was busy and trying to follow up and schedule it all. And then we switched CRMs and it wiped all the data out, and I was just totally over it. So one time I sold 2 of my high school friends. They were high school sweethearts, got married, have kids. I sold them a van, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask them for a referral. So afterwards I said, hey guys, I'm getting pretty busy and I want to be able to, sorry. My kids are upstairs running around with my mom, and I just heard a loud boom. Do you know anyone that's in the market? And they're like, actually, my sister was just trying to look at a RAV4 across town, and she had a bad experience. And I was like, oh, really? Well, have her come here. We have some used RAV4s, or maybe she'll look at a CRV or a Rogue or whatever else. So she literally came in the next day with her dad and bought a car. And I was just like, oh, my God, that was like magic. Like, it was easy. There was like minimal negotiation. We didn't make a lot of money. They got a good deal. She was happy. We let her drive whatever she wanted. And it was literally like she had in her mind she wanted this car. We looked at a car like that. She realized that maybe there was something better that fit her needs, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just like, man, I'm going to do this every time. So now 90% of the time I ask people, when I tag them and thank them on Facebook, I tell, some people don't want people to know their business or their financials or whatever else. So I just say, I get weird messages. Hey, this is Bobby Sue, and I saw you sold 18 of my friends on Facebook cars. Who do I pay the referral to? And that I don't, I don't really know. But then some people like fight over, like, that was my customer, that was my referral, whatever else. So, I mean, that's a good problem to have in that regards.
Let me ask you this, Nathan. What have you seen change the most in the car business since you've gotten in it?
I just think, so in 2011, I think we were busier, and we'd, balloons and hot dogs and, lot traffic and, taking ups and people standing outside and catching fresh customers and watching the lot and people being intimidated. We wore white shirts at the time. So the white shirt mob or, wolves or whatever else, and everyone smoking and whatever else. And so my thing was, I just wanted to be consistent. And I knew if I kept the customers I had happy, I would probably miss out on some sales by not being ultra aggressive on the lot. But I knew that most people were searching or using, Google's the number 1 search engine. YouTube is the number 2 search engine or whatever. I think that still stands true. So I was just trying to put myself out there. So, internet leads became really hot. We were getting tons and tons and tons of internet leads. TrueCar, came out whenever, and it was the bee's knees there for a little bit. Then all of our competitors drop it. So then we would get all the leads, and then people 2 hours away would shop us and then just walk into their local dealership and give them their price. That in February last year, we had 86 new Hyundai leads from St. Louis, and we sold one of them. And like 40 or 50% of those people bought a car, and literally they just printed off their certificate from us and took it to the local dealership and then bought from whatever store we wanted. So, we weren't necessarily paying for those leads, but people would be like, how did you get our information? So I think the shopper has changed too, as far as that goes. People were way more open to traveling. You'll get some people that I think will still travel, but I think phone ups are the new thing. I think that if you can, I don't know if salespeople need to have their own individual website per se. I think a YouTube channel is great. My YouTube channel is subpar. I have to wait till my account's so old so I can change the name of it. But I think live video, I think just having a brand, having a page, people being able to search for reviews, like those are more. I know guys that are really successful. They have, 20 reviews on Facebook, and they probably sell more cars than I do. So if you're a stranger on the street and you are referred to Shawn Hayes or Nathan Hayes, and they don't have a what I call social footprint or an internet footprint, and then you got Jimmy Smith, who's a jerk, but he begs all of his customers for reviews. They may ask for him. Does it happen every single time? No, but if someone says, "Oh, go see Billy Sue down at the Ford store," and he's new, and I've been here 7 years, and I've got over 200 5-star reviews online, I would assume, I'm not going to diss the other dude, but I'm just going to say like, hey, look, I'm more experienced, and there's literally no negative reviews about me online. So that should, say something. So I think the market's changed internet-wise. I don't think salespeople are going away anytime soon. I think people are a lot more conscious. I think interest rates are going up right now. At least that's what we're seeing. And I think that's kind of, people don't believe it just because they've been able to get free money for so long. If guys I work with used to sell cars and a good interest rate was 8% or 9%, if I told half of my customers nowadays they were going to get 8% for 72 months, they'd try to beat me up or, tell me I was crazy or lying or something. And I think that's kind of the wake up call that is going to come down on the market, that people don't realize that. So
you're right. Interest rates have gone up extremely. Let me ask you a question here. We got a lot of green people who watch this. Okay. We've got a lot of GPs that need information. We have new guys in the business that need new information. If you could tell them anything, just give them your 7 years of advice of selling cars, what would you tell them? What would be the first thing that they should make sure they master?
So this is like one of my favorite questions, and it goes back to what we talked about earlier. So when I was on Dealer Playbook podcast, I thought like all these dudes are going to reach out to me and they're going to want all this advice and mad ups and high fives and how do you do it and what would you do if you're new? Like literally 2 people, I think, messaged me, 3 people messaged me. And I was like you can look, not that I'm cool or awesome or that great, but you can look up and numbers don't lie. So my first, I guess, advice would be to make sure, especially like your phone numbers are clean, your data is clean, you have a good email address, you're easy to get a hold of. Text messaging is wonderful and convenient and awesome. I wouldn't go crazy into video right away, just because if I'm watching a video of a stranger and I have no name recognition of them, like I'm probably not going to watch it. Like if I didn't know Shawn and it was just scrolling through my feed, he was on Sales Hustlers and I didn't know what Sales Hustlers was, I didn't know who Shawn was or whatever, I'm not going to stop and watch it. I'll watch like a Goalcast or like Grant Cardone video just to pump me up, but I'm not going to watch a random dude in my feed promoting himself. So I would worry about getting a footprint and name recognition before I went live, unless I was just doing like video reviews, not live, maybe on YouTube, etc. So I would definitely have a business page. I would still pimp out my personal page a lot. My business page is mediocre. It gets some traction. I use it because I can pay money and advertise out of it. I wouldn't necessarily right away, unless you're just totally on it and have money, a bunch of money. I wouldn't build the salesperson website right away. My salesperson website, the foot traffic is mediocre. The 3 things I would do as a green pea is I would find guys that are doing better than you, and I would study, I would read some, and then I would build a Facebook page to where you're searchable in essence, and then make sure that it's not crazy or political or with guns and different stuff like that. And then I would find a mentor, and then I would make sure you're like Googling your own name and finding out what people are saying about you, and then try to get all your friends and family to test drive cars and to leave reviews and different stuff like that. And then in essence, be consistent. So like I've been doing this 7 years. I've seen tons of people come and go. I've worked with, sales people is 70% turnover or whatever. I see all these people come and go, and they'll do like Facebook for like a week, or they'll post cars for like a week. We do a trade walk every morning. So we walk the trades from the day before. We rate them if they're A car, B car, C car, and then a D car if we're going to wholesale it. And then I would tell the story of there's just so much content that you can give customers for free. They have no idea. They don't know what Shawn does every day. They think they know what I do every day. They don't. I'm not going to document my whole life because people don't want to watch that. But giving a tour of the dealership, telling people about their hours, videotaping and time lapse, changing the oil, walk the lots, give people a tour of the dealerships where the entrances are. Hey, I know you're looking for this pickup truck, blah, 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 blah. We don't have it, but if you ever want to come look at where our fresh trades go, it's going to be back over here, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, that's, I can walk our lots, all 4 of our lots with customers, and people have no idea where we're driving or going. So, I mean, to give someone a tour of the footprint of the exterior of the facility, where new cars are, where used cars are, how to navigate the website, how to schedule service online. I get calls 5 times a week for people that want me to schedule their service, and I can do it right there over the phone with them online. And then if you look on my YouTube from our previous dealership, there's a 12-minute video on how to schedule service online. So I need to redo that. But just little things that make it convenient, that save people time and save people money, and that you're the go-to guy and your name's on all that stuff, whether it's service, sales, parts, whatever, you want to be the point of contact. But at the same time, you have to learn to delegate certain things to the internet, to your website, to your lead providers, to your business development center team, your managers, et cetera, et cetera. So consistency. I mean, I always write down consistency and just keep doing what you're doing. We had some guys do a really funny, Ryan, if you're watching this, and Tyler's one of our service advisors now, they had the Frohawk Chronicles, and they talk like Hicks, and they sat in all these Kias and did it, and one of them had moved, and then one of them switched stores, but they did it for like 8 weeks, and they got all the salespeople involved. It was hilarious, and they were getting thousands and thousands of views, and it was just total name recognition. And unfortunately, they didn't stick with it. But if they would have stuck with it, it would have been, I'm sure some of their videos would have went viral or something, but that would have given them deals and made them money. So consistency is definitely the key. The other thing that I tell every single person is I plan my day the night before. So you're new and you're looking for things to do, and you've got phone lists and call scripts and certifications and whatever else. Every night before I go to bed, I know 5 or 6 things that I'm going to do the next day. Do I got to get remote start? Do I got to take a car to window tint? Do I have to meet my mom for lunch? Do I have a be-back? Do I have this? And that way I have something to look forward to the next day, as opposed to just standing outside and hoping something happens. Or, oh man, I forgot I had my 3 o'clock appointment. It's 2:45. The car won't start. The people are here 30 minutes early. I look like a schmuck, whatever else. About being professional, being consistent, being prepared. And I think, knowing what you're going to do before you do it. It's a baseball analogy. When I used to coach middle school baseball, know when it is or where it is. If the ball comes to you, what are you going to do with it? And that's the same thing. If a customer comes in a lot, know what you're going to do. When you wake up, know what you're going to do, that day. That way you don't have to guess or wander around or lick the windows and stand outside and smoke cigarettes all day. And then you're mad because you haven't sold any cars when you really had 6 or 7 or 8 things you could have been doing.
Actually, all of that, I hope everybody listens to that and goes back and watches that again, because there you handled a lot of information right there, and all of it is vital and good. So great job on that. I really appreciate you sharing a lot of that with them. I mean, you can hear stuff, Nathan, from like everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can hear, but it's so cool when you hear. That's why this show was kind of developed, because I wanted to hear what you do, and you wanted to hear what somebody else does, because we all do something different. We all do something cool, So if you can adopt a couple things, I'll give you a point. Here you go. I stole something from you and got a car deal out of it. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
It was a couple months ago. I don't know, probably about 3 or 4 months ago. And you came up with something very interesting where you basically played with your customer and you gave him a wink and you pointed at him. And anyways, it was a joke. And I took that and I ran with it with a customer. I was having a difficult time getting them in to buy a car. I took that. You remember that? Yeah. And you
messaged me and you're like, dude, it worked. And you were like, I was like, what? And you're like, the smoking gun. I sent the guy a picture of a gun or whatever.
Yeah, it's a smoking gun. The guy was asking for more money off. Okay. And you said, well, why don't we flip for it? Okay. Yeah. right? And you had a smoking gun with a little bit of a wink,
Yeah.
and boom, it worked. And the guy hit me back. And next thing you know, I did a video on that night when that guy came in, and it was
Yeah.
amazing. And I think, wow, that's what we have to do. We got to think outside of the box. And Facebook has really helped me out with that because I can develop things that other people are using, and I can use them
Yeah.
for my customers, and it helps me,
Yeah.
man.
People don't want to come to the car dealership, so they want to try to buy a car on Facebook. Like all my bosses are like, "You'll never sell a car on." You'll never sell a car on Facebook. You can't sell cars on text messaging. My boss today, I hate selling. I literally sold the car via text message. My boss is like, "Man, I hate text messaging. All these people want to negotiate for text messaging, whatever." Like the guy just asked what the best price was. I told him, and he said, "Okay, let me call my son. I assume they're going to buy the car." So little things like that. That was his preferred method of communication. So I just went with it. I wasn't trying to email him too much information or call or different stuff like that. I had a lady. You'll laugh at this. Complete stranger on a phone up on a Hummer that came down this weekend from St. Louis, and they have a bunch of really good barbecue places. Kansas City's probably a little better. I said, "Oh, you're coming down from St. Louis. Will you bring us some Sugar Fire barbecue?" Totally joking. I don't even know this girl. I talked to her 3 times on the phone. "If you come down, will you bring us some Sugar Fire barbecue?" So she shows up she traded a Hummer to get another Hummer. She shows up with this big sampler platter, $30 to strangers at the dealership, trying to like bribe us for a better deal or just to be more fun or make us laugh or whatever. Like I was just totally joking. I ask every customer that comes in dealership, "Do you want, Red Bull, Mountain Dew, like stuff that I know some 60-year-old person's not going to drink or want, but I'll ask them if they want a Mick Ultra or a margarita or water or milk." And I mean, we don't have any of that stuff at our dealership, but it's just to make them laugh to see what they'll say. Because they want a beer or they're nervous or whatever else, and so they're ready to not be there anymore, or they don't want to be there. So I'm just trying to joke with them and loosen them up.
Well, the best thing about that is it lets your personality show. Okay, we all
Mm-hmm.
we all kind of want to laugh. I mean, come
Yeah,
on, we all want to. You want to laugh. You want to laugh. Everybody wants to laugh.
yep,
Sometimes we
yep.
get scared of pushing the limits, But if you do it in a respectful way, man, people like that. They'll
Right.
open up to you. All right, so give me your strength right now and your weakness. I want to right now your sales strength. What is it?
I would say I just have so much experience on social media. I don't know all the marketings and analytics and pixels and different stuff like that, but it's just a matter of finding other people that I can learn from content wise or share content with. Um, and then using that to my advantage. So, like local businesses, I network with people that are dentists in town, or attorneys, or lawyers, or our mayor of Jefferson City. I've become friends with. So, I just try to connect with those people, and that way, if they see someone or hear of someone, whether it's in person or social media, that is, looking for a car, then I can use that for top of the mind awareness, and then I can use that as leverage because I know the president of the bank, or I get a lot of referrals from this credit union, or if I know 5 or 6 loan officers at Bank X. I can't send them all my deals, but I know that they know I'll take good care of those customers, and so I'll be able to take care of them.
All right, so give me your weakness, buddy.
My weakness I wrote down here because I was trying to remember of how bad or good it would be. So I would say I'm probably too nice, I guess, in that regards, whether that's at work or maybe asking for the sale. I learned, 2 years ago to ask for the sale a lot more frequently. There are times where, you kind of joke, did you know you were going to sell that person a car? Did you really think that that person was going to buy, et cetera, et cetera? I just have so much buy-in because you believe people for what they say. And I just, sadly, I don't feel like a handshake means what it used to. You talk about what's changed in the car business. I would say handshake doesn't mean what it used to. So it's just one of those things that that would probably be a weakness. Every year I set little goals. So my goal this year was to be more organized. My goal last year was to have better name recognition. My goal the year before was to have a website and to get 100 reviews. So little things like that, to where I know if I can get a little bit better every day or a little bit better every year, then in the car business, I feel like if I'm this good, typically I'm light years ahead of everyone else, and my competition you see it on the forums, people bickering and talking about how good they are or not good they are, or how much money they make or whatever. And I mean, a lot of it I think is just baloney. So I know that that's my competition. I watch them pick on each other and degrade each other and lift people up, people like you and I, whatever else. So I know that's my competition. So if I'm that much better than they are, then chances are I have a good chance. If I don't sell them a car now, I'll sell them a car later, or maybe they got mad, or we didn't give them what they wanted for their trade-in or whatever, and then they'll come back 3 years later and say, hey, I made a mistake, bought this car, whatever. My salesperson there, I don't even remember who they are, but you're still there, so you must be doing something right. So that's my thing. I don't jump around. I don't move. I don't, change the game. I just try to be consistent. That way people know that I'm, searchable or findable. I'm professional. I'm knowledgeable, and, I'm aware, and they know, they should know where to find me in that regards.
Where do you want to be in 5 years, man? Do you plan on still being a salesman? Do you see yourself going somewhere else? What?
I promise my customers lifetime customer service. So I would imagine that I'll stay put. I mean, if someone wants to buy me a car dealership, or I've had people try to hire me away to be a sales manager or desk manager or whatever, I have no inclinings or wishes to be in finance. I think my bosses know that. And some people, you have to be in finance before you can be a sales manager or desk manager. I mean, I would be at ASM, I guess, somewhere. I'd love to have my own stores. I don't have that type of money or business partners or different stuff. I don't know what kind of brand I'd have. I don't, I'd have to babysit people, and I'd probably work more hours and may not make as much money. And so that's always just kind of the thing that I always, I guess, flirt with in my mind, that it'd be cool. Yeah, if someone's out there and wants to give me, $15 million to buy my own dealership, I would listen.
Hey, I come work with you. And Hayes and Hayes, right?
Yeah.
So
Hayes Squared Motors.
Hayes Squared. I like that. So you got to tell everybody, I like to always ask this, what inspires you? What inspires you on a daily basis?
I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier. What inspires me, there's just so many people, I'd see people on Facebook. So I started a community group. It's called JCMO, Good, Bad, and Ugly. And there's 23,000 people in the group. I didn't start it. I took it over. And there's all these people, they complain about their fast food service and where I should buy a car and where I can get the best nails done, or where I can get my, animals haircut cheap or whatever else. And so there's all this, like, I want to get the most bang for my buck and best, cheap stuff, or what's this not going to cost arm and a leg. And so people post about our dealership, they post about the other dealerships and competition, et cetera, et cetera. And, that's something that's completely different to get your name out there. And so I think, what was it? Oh, and what inspires me? Yeah. So it's just seeing all these people that are just like so upset with their lives that they have to complain about how bad the French fries were at Steak and Shake, or like, I don't know, someone cut my dog's hair funny, or there was a bug in my food, or fast food workers want $15 an hour. Ha 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 ha. Screw them. Whatever. Like all this just anger and stuff, whatever. And like, I just know that I just got to keep working, keep grinding, provide for my family, network, sell a bunch of cars, et cetera, et cetera. So as far as inspiration, I mean, that's, it's my family, being able to provide for my kids. My dad lives in Florida. He lives in Panama City. So I get to talk to him every week or every other week or whatever. So I want to uphold the reputation that my family already has. I want my mom to be proud of me. I want my stepdad to be proud of me. I want my family to be proud of me. And I just basically want people to know that I'm a trusted advisor in the automotive industry, because just stereotypically, it's just so poor. Whether I was a dentist or, in college, I rushed a fraternity, and everyone's like, oh, Nathan, you're way too nice to be in a, fraternity, and just little stereotypical things like that. So when I got into the car business, everyone acted like I was crazy. And I got into the car business because all my friends sell insurance or real estate or whatever. So I had no like friendship competition. So I just stuck with it. And some of them have come and gone and done other things, but I don't have any friends my age. I've made friends at work, but I don't have any friends my age that, sell cars. And so I'm just at a distinct advantage. I'm from here, played sports here. I have brand recognition, name recognition, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that just becoming a big fish in a little pond is inspiring, and just, being able to do my own thing in that regards, and making people proud, making people happy has been great.
Well, I sure noticed you, and I sure enjoy following you because I think you're a really stand-up guy. You give me good ideas. You're actually pretty funny. I know it probably doesn't come across all the time, but man, I've watched some of your posts and stuff, and I think you got a really good personality. So
Yeah, thanks. I just try to be myself. I mean, if someone comes into the store and they knew me from when I played second grade soccer with their kids, they'll say, Nathan, you're the same person you were in second grade that you are today. And I mean, if that's a character flaw, then so be it. But I just try to be myself. And my mom, always said, treat others the way you want to be treated. So platinum rule, treat others the way they want to be treated. So that's my
all right,
thing.
so me and you, this is our last question here before we get to the questions from the
Yeah.
Facebook land. I want to know, man, me and you are on a boat and we're traveling. All right. And
Yeah.
we crash. All right. And I've asked this every week. All right. We get deserted on we get stranded on a deserted island, nobody there, just me and you. Okay. We're going to get sunburnt, but we're going to listen to 3 albums because you have this.
Yeah.
All right. What are those 3 albums?
Do they make islands with CD players? No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, this one. Just this one special.
Okay.
All right.
Nelly, Country Grammar.
All right.
Probably one of the best albums of all time. You're older than me, but that was like 1998, 1999 when I played sports and we would like warm up. Imagine Dragons, kind of a different thing. Imagine Dragons original CD. I don't even know what it's called, but I just felt like there was a bunch of good, unique sounding. They probably all sound the same songs. And then I've got Time Flies down, which is kind of more of like a hipster, unique electronic knockoff band thing that they do. But apparently they have really good concerts and they do covers of a lot of songs. And so I've got 4 or 5 guy friends that just are obsessed with Time Flies. And so I listen to a lot of their music. Some of it's unique. Some of it is covers of other songs. They do a cappella and different stuff like that. So those are my 3 CDs. Nelly, Country Grammar, Time Flies, whatever their CD is out now, and then Imagine Dragons. And then I got a special shout out for Con Bro Chill. They're on a bunch of Mountain Dew commercials. They have a bunch of crazy songs that every once in a while I listen to some Con Bro Chill. So if you have Spotify, look up Con Bro Chill because they got some pretty funny, humorous songs.
Music, man. It's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Everybody has, not one person has had the same kind of stuff since all the different guests we've had on here. All right. We got the first question. Sterling Leach. I don't know if you know him, but anyways.
Hey, Sterling.
He's a sales hustler. What are some things you do when you're in a slump?
Well, I'm in a slump right now. So I'm doing this podcast and I got text messages that say, why are you there? I just think it's easy to say, go back to the basics. I just think you keep doing what you're doing. I am a firm believer of, a higher power, whatever you believe in. And I know that if I just keep treating people, I know that the car business is a marathon, not a sprint. So I know that, I'm probably going to sell 15 or 18 cars this month. I don't have that many cars out now. I'm halfway through the month. So you go through panic modes, but you can't just let it degrade you and tear you down and everything else like that. So you got to, stay out of the huddle and keep doing what you're doing and everything else. And so I just think of creative ways to network. And that's why I am involved in 2 networking groups. One meets every other Wednesday or the first Wednesday and third Wednesday of the month. And I'm in another networking group that I helped found that meets every Tuesday morning. So that's just a lot of accountability to where you just keep seeing people, and in conversation, it comes into play that, someone is looking for a car. So it just goes back to being consistent, finding a unique trade-in that every day, if your dealership trades for a car, you may get a 2004 Camry with 70,000 miles, or you may get a white Honda Pilot with 40,000 miles. That's 30 grand. That's the perfect color combination for the market. And you can sell that car to the right person that same day before it even hits the lot. Hot, low mileage, old, nice trucks, anything like that I get that. I have almost 5,000 friends, and like my friends list, has a couple people in the car business, but literally before I got into the car business, I already had like 3,900 Facebook friends. So, and I could tell you every single one of them's name, where I met them, how, when, where. That's just how my mind works. So I've got 3,000 people that maybe aren't in the market for a car, but if they saw that, $18,000 '06 Chevy Silverado we traded for with 60,000 miles, I bet they jump all over it because they knew that that was, a once in a lifetime, vehicle. So I just think that consistency, posting pictures of your inventory. I'm not a like 0% come buy a car now, whatever. I just want people to know, hey, this is what we have, and this is where used cars are. And if you want a new car, I can help you with that too, et cetera, et cetera. But I would say, as far as the slump goes, get on the phones. Totally recommend Jeb Blount's book. Um, oh my God, Fanatical Prospecting. I blacked out there. Fanatical Prospecting, Jeb Blount. His hashtag is one more call. And it's just all about how to set up your phone calls, what to say when you make a phone call, how to get through to people's voicemails, how to get your calls returned, and then basically prospecting. And it's, nobody likes making calls. I don't like talking on the phone. Well, I like talking on the phone, but when I get home, the last thing I want to do is talk on the phone. But I know that people are going to call me and text me and email me and just keep grinding out all those. I mean, all your prospects and previous customers and previous happy customers and different stuff like that. I call people on recalls all the time. Someone the other day said that they were in public and they heard that they bought a car from me and they like me. They bought a car from me 3 years ago. And the other day I called them to tell them they had a recall on their vehicle. So I just pull Carfaxes on my customers as their anniversary or birthday calls come up, to see if they still have their car. And if they traded it, then I don't really have a reason to call them. I sometimes will call them and play dumb and see what they say because I think it's funny because they're like, oh, yeah, we still have the car when they really haven't had it for a year and a half. But if there's a recall, I'll call people and there'll be a recall. And then they're like, oh, man, thanks. It'll take, 30 minutes. I'll set up you in service. We'll get it done, whatever. And then they just think like that I'm like the magic man that, was looking out for them. And 30% of people in America fix recalls on their cars. So if that's 30% of your database, there's 70% of people in your database. If they have an open recall, that's a great reason to touch those people, whether they want to trade or not, or they could have had a baby or they found out that they're pregnant. Now they want to get a minivan and they're in there for service or oil change and they're ready to, trade tomorrow.
Awesome, man.
Hope that helps.
That was awesome. All right. That was really cool about the recall thing. I never thought about that. That's an awesome tip. I'm
going to go back to that too, real quick, to piggyback on that. When I have a customer, whether it's a referral or anything, I do a guest sheet. And whether they have a trade or don't have a trade, I made my own guest sheet with VIN boxes, so it's 17 digits. I try to always get a driver's license and insurance from that person and get their VIN number of the car they brought up. And so act like they're going to trade for it or not acting like a trade for it. That way, if I ever see them in the dealership, I can always flip through it and go back to that. And that way I always remember what their name and face looks like or whatever, because I have a copy of their driver's license. And then I always have their VIN number. So if I get bored one day, I can just plug in a bunch of VINs and see if those people still have those cars. And then I'll be able to go back through them. And that way it helps me be able to connect with them and find that if they have those cars not or still not, or if they have recalls or they were in a car accident and you can ask them if they're okay, or, you don't have to call them and say, hey, I saw you're in a wreck, because that seems creepy, but you can, call them and talk to them, and then they'll tell you that I called a lady the other day. I just sold her car. They made one payment on it. They came in, they totaled their car, and they've had it for, 40 days. So just weird things like that.
Was that the Azera?
Oh, no, but we did. That guy was in the store today. He's very happy. So no, it's an older Civic I sold to a 16-year-old, and they keep wrecking their cars, so they don't want to buy their daughter a car anymore.
I got a question from Jonathan Dawson.
Dawson.
Yeah. What prospecting idea or strategy do you regret doing the most?
Do I regret doing the most?
Yes.
I honestly, in passing, probably am not a fan of passing out business cards. I just truly feel like whether people are hippies or recycle or whatever, I literally go to trade shows and stuff, and I collect a bag of business cards, and I throw them. They're literally in my trunk. The last 3 chamber business showcases, there's probably 30 business cards in my trunk that I have never taken a second look at. And I get put on people's email lists and whatever else. I don't even have a relationship with those people. I don't even know who they are. I just literally go through and click and unsubscribe. So as far as prospecting that I regret, I would say, trying to pass out 500 business cards. I would say I probably spent way too much money on Facebook ads 2 and 3 years ago because I didn't understand how they work. So I was boosting a whole bunch of posts and spending hundreds of dollars. I mean, it kind of worked, I guess, but it was more spray and pray, try all this stuff for $5 or $10 a day. And, I wish I could go back and eat more Taco Bell or something like that than, spend money on that. So
We got one from James Hernandez. Okay.
James.
At a Hyundai dealership. He wants to know, do you ever deal with skating? And if you do, okay, how do you prevent that?
Well, we have 4 stores and we use e-leads. So literally at our trade walk yesterday morning, we were talking about, do you put every single person in all 4 stores? Do we have a process? I just try to have an appointment with someone. I'll set an appointment. That way, if someone comes in, they go to the wrong store, then they'll be like, oh, you had an appointment with Nathan Hayes. He's actually at the Hyundai store. That's where your appointment is. Because we have a brand new Honda store and they just redid our Hyundai store. So people like to go to the new shiny big building down the street. So it happens whether it's on purpose or accident. I'm pretty forgiving of that. I think skating is a culprit of culture, and really truly if someone's going to skate you, it's because they're trying really, really hard to make lots of money or sell lots of cars. I don't think by nature, at least people I work with, do it necessarily on purpose. They're just like trying to get that one more unit, or, which is still unethical. They're trying to get that one more unit or, whatever else. It depends on how your dealership's set up. Because for us, we can sell every used car at any store. So even if it's at the Kia store, I can sell that used car at my Hyundai store. So what'll happen is people look at that car at my store, then they'll go to the other store. And it hasn't happened to me, but we'll have people that are like, they get coached or said that they didn't like me or whatever, and then they buy that same used car at a different store from someone else. And so usually you'll get half the deal because if you have notes and follow up with them, but I don't really think it's that bad. I get a lot of referrals that get sent to me that they're like half referrals where they're like, oh yeah, Nathan, I told this guy to come ask for you. So now I've learned to ask for their name, phone number, whatever, so I can contact them and set it up, because otherwise people just stroll in and have no idea what's going on. Bobby ups them. They feel bad, so they don't even mention my name until halfway through the process, or I'm calling them trying to figure out where they're at, and they're halfway through, demoing a Civic when nobody called me because they didn't know. I don't have them in the CRM because I don't know their name or have any of their contact information. But like my buddies are like, we referred these people to you or whatever. I mean, that's not really a referral. So those are issues that I have once a week probably. And so I just try to tell people my name, where I'm from. Even if the BDC sets an appointment, I call them and confirm them. That way we'll have people come in and ask for the girls from our internet team at the store, and they'll be sent 3 emails that say what store to go to and who to ask for, and they still ask for someone completely different and go to the wrong facility. So we just, as a team, have to stay on top of it. And I just think it's important that if you're making enough money and you're selling enough cars, it doesn't become that cutthroat. And so I'll have people message me on Facebook. I'll put them in e-leads. They've been working with someone else for 6 months. I'm not going to try to steal the customer. I'm going to call the salespeople and say, hey, Bobby Sue just called me. They're ready to buy a car today. Let's sell them a car. Like, my goal is to be in the best interest of the customer, and then sort it out and be proactive and communicate with other salespeople I work with, not just sell them a car, think that I'm trying to snake them or skate them, and then like tell them later on, hey, I'll give you $50 or you buy me lunch sometime. Like, that's not being proactive with being a team. And I think that that's what happens is there's a lot of miscommunications on who talks to who. I wholeheartedly think that a lot of times the customers don't care and they don't understand how commission sales works, and they're just afraid to be confrontational. So they get greeted by whoever walks in the door, knowing that they just talked to you 5 minutes before on Facebook that they're coming in, and then they like kind of freak out and panic and then just let whoever help them. And so that's why you'll see me, kind of rant a little bit on Facebook saying, if you send an internet lead, if you call in the store, if you come in, make sure no matter where you're at, in service, sales, phone, internet, whatever, ask for me. And that way then there's, zero deniability that the receptionist calls and said, you got some people here. And then I call the receptionist back and, oh yeah, they just said they'd work with whoever, but they did ask for you. You just have to be able to track that, and you have to know, you have to have your ears on the ground, or when you're tagged on Facebook and someone's sending you referrals, so you can reach out to those people, because there's 10 other people trying to sell those people a car too.
Well, Jonathan Dawson, again, has another question. He wants to know what the doll behind you, what's the doll's name?
I don't know. This is my office / man cave. There's a treadmill or whatever. I don't know. Is that a treadmill? Yeah. Behind me that I've actually never used. We had to find the right one that would fit into the angles of our downstairs to our basement. But that is probably like my antique for my wife or my mom's, her mom or grandma or something. I have no idea. It never moved. I've never seen it move or make noises or whatever. It just says mom. So I didn't put it there.
Do you mind if we name him right now?
Yeah. What do you want to name him? Or
It's up to you. What do you think?
it's a sailor.
Sailor?
Sailor. The salesman. SAILS, sales.
I like
Salesman. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. I'm afraid to look up the dress.
That's all I got for you tonight, man. Why don't you tell everybody how they can find you? And
Yeah, we can connect Instagram, ampersand or @ ask for Nate. Twitter, ask for Nate, ASKFORNATE. I would definitely encourage you to watch or listen to my Dealer Playbook podcast, to my 2 episodes on the Be Less Typical podcast. A couple tips. I'm all about tips and taking stuff away. You can go on Google and you can set up alerts. I recommend setting up alert for your name, setting up alerts for your dealership, setting up alerts for your competition. You'll have a lot of customers that come in nowadays, then they'll like brag about how they know more about vehicles than you do. If you set up alerts for Hyundai, in my instance, or Kia Motors or Honda or Nissan, anytime they're in the news, I get those alerts and emails every morning, and I just go through them. There's a ton of them. I just go through them, and then if the Hyundai Kona is released in Australia, I already know. Whereas like Bob Smith comes in service and is like, I heard the Hyundai Kona came out in America today. I can say, actually, it just came out in Australia, not trying to be smart, but I'm on top of the game, and I just have that much more product knowledge because I'm keeping up with the manufacturers. You can do that with your competition. I have my old bosses in there just in case they jump around or move. Our competitors' ownership group, if they pop up in the news, little things like that, just so I give people the correct information. I couldn't tell you what the Nissan Titan gross vehicle weight ratio was or the horsepower or some of those things, but just news announcements about when are the 18s come. I'm waiting for 6 months because I'm waiting for an 18, and it's like, well, the 18s are already out, or whatever, little things like that. So I would do that. I use Siri a lot, so I set a lot of reminders for myself. I'm trying to think. I had some other stuff. I'd say Google yourself. You can look me up on Facebook. I'm almost friend capped, I think, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that. You can like my business page, or you can leave me a review, I guess, if you want to, but I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. The other thing is I would heavily consider, this has changed my business too, heavily consider building a community group around your network. So I have, and you can browse it or maybe try to join. It's JCMO, Jeff City, Missouri, JCMO, colon, the good, bad, and ugly. It's kind of a dicey name, but that's what makes it fun. It's a group that I help run and admin. It puts people to bed at night. It connects friends. They can find out where to buy a car, where not to buy a car, who's got the best Chinese, how to get there. It's literally changed, I would say, my business, but it's like a lot of my friends that are insurance agents or my lawn care. That's how I found my lawn care guy. That's how I found the girl that cuts my minimal hair. That's where I go to do all those things. So if you can be a beacon or the mayor of your community, as Gary Vaynerchuk recommends to do, it's just I go to Hy-Vee, some lady came up to me crying, hadn't talked to one of her daughters in St. Louis for years, hadn't talked to one of her daughters in Kansas City. She said they called me up and told me to join this group, and now we talk almost every night about what's going on in this group. And she thanked me, and she bought a car for me, and just this weird thing about just connecting the community. If people have a bad experience with the business has the option to respond. If they have a good experience, that makes them 5% of your complaints online are found. So if you can put all those people together, whether they're complaining or complimenting or whatever else, if you can reply and find those people and be able to talk to them, then that's what you want to do. So I would heavily consider making a community group in your market, being an admin, being real low key. Don't get real angry or dicey with people, and invite your friends, because it's a great way to find referrals, give referrals, and get referrals. So those are my 3 major keys there.
Well, thanks, Nate. Nathan, everybody from Jefferson City, Missouri.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having us on.
You're awesome. Guys, make sure you check him out, friend him, find him in some way. He's an awesome guy. I absolutely love following him.
Thanks. You too, Shawn.
Hustler Spotlight. We'll be back here next Tuesday at 5:30 with an all-new guest. I'm excited for it. We already have them booked. We've got the next 4 weeks already booked. We don't release until that week, but I'm pretty excited. It's really starting to take off. A lot of people seem to like it. And guys, I'll see you tomorrow with my morning video, man. Take care.
Thanks for watching. See you guys.